Maureen, Ruddy, Burkhart is giving a presentation on where in the world is Erdos. She has been a photographer for over 30 years in one fashion or another, from making movies for the Navy to photographing children when her own kids were young. In October of 2010, Maureen attended a photography portfolio review in Atlanta where she met with 2 Chinese curators. She was subsequently invited to show her work in Inner Mongolia, China. She had to look it up on a map. Her invitation, along with 9 other American photographers, took them to the grand opening of the Desert Art Palace on the eastern edge of the Gobi Desert in January of 2011. Her visit took place during the inaugural Spring Photography Exposition, an event held for Chinese photographers. Maureen is going to share with you some pictures and stories from her 9 days in Inner Mongolia, China.
Thank you. This friend of mine came up with this map, which is kind of a cartoon, but anyway, you can see Beijing over there on the far right. So I flew to Beijing, which was about 13 hours, and then another 2 hours to Baotou, and then a 2-hour bus ride to Erdos, and then a 30-minute bus ride to Jiangshaoang. That's me on the right. At one of the parties, they gave a party. They had huge celebration with dance and food every single night that we were there. Thankfully, because the days were really, really hard. The weather was about 20 below. It gets colder every time I tell the story, too. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when I arrived in Baotou, Inner Mongolia, was there was smoke everywhere. That was the very first thing I saw when I walked out of the airport. It's mostly coal burning. And okay, so the second thing was the people. They were really beautiful, and everybody in Inner Mongolia wears these army suits in the winter because it's the warmest thing that they have. And these gentlemen are camel herders. They were hired to help all the photographers mount and frame their work. The third thing I noticed was 2 humped Bactrian camels, the hardy natives of the Gobi Desert. And that beautiful gal on the left, her name is the Face. She's the most beautiful camel in the Camelot. There was a mutual attraction. They love to model for us, and that, as you can see, we love to take pictures of them. And they're a lot nicer than the regular one-humped camels. They don't spit, and they like to model, and they're pretty friendly. Okay, this is Jiangshaoang, which means sand bay, and it's right at the edge of the Gobi Desert. That's the art palace on the far right. Supposedly the biggest yurt in the world. A lot of people say, "What's a yurt?" I go, "Well, it's a tent. The only difference is it doesn't have a floor." So you walk in and there's sand everywhere. It goes great with artwork. That's a fellow photographer from Alabama on the right there. During the summer, this is a resort area, so people come from China, they bring their families, they go surfing on the sand, and they ride the camels, and they have picnics under the umbrella. I guess it gets to be pretty hot there. And you can see the smoke. That's the smoke from Erdos. And these are the camels that they use during the summer vacations. So they just take them out every day for exercise. They're crossing the Yellow River there. It's all ice. We hired a taxi one day and we went to Baotou. There's a big monastery there and lots of merchants outside. A lot of these people had never seen Americans before. That's what our translator told us. This is the largest Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Inner Mongolia. So we asked our tour guide, are you allowed to practice freely here? And she says, we have a saying in Inner Mongolia that the sky is high and the emperor is far away. But I just thought this was great. The opening ceremonies, they had the Chinese women came and they did a dance with their tripods. And the Americans were laughing and the Chinese were dead serious. And here I am with my camera, and that woman on the right is from New York. Her name is Justine Reyes, an amazing photographer. So it's tradition when you have company to roast a goat, and then you take the head off and you take the head around to all the tables and everybody gets blessed. So that's what he's holding, the goat's head. And because everybody there is a photographer, you get your picture taken a million times. And what I really liked was that everything was over at 9:30. The lights went out. Everybody went to bed. See on the top left? It's ridiculous. Just everybody taking pictures of everybody else. And all ages, too. They were in really amazing physical shape. And they had beautiful voices, and it was a lot of incredible entertainment. So this exhibition took place the same week as the International Miss Mongolia competition. And they used the contestants as models for us to practice on. These are some scenes from Erdos. I like that picture on the top because it shows the old and the new side by side. It doesn't look very cold, I guess, but it really was cold. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen.